live
Under perilous conditions
this Tuesday, June 16, 2009, and we are now joined by Richard Gage of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. He's out on the road working hard to explain to people what really happened to World Trade Center 1, 2, and 7 on September 11th, 2001. And he's really, traveling the country. There are new DVDs to talk about. Where was the last place you hit up, Richard?
Just came back from San Diego, Jason. Hi, and awesome to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you. So San Diego was the last place you were at. Why don't you tell people what you were doing there?
We spoke to where was it? 230 people in San Diego. Listen to these numbers, Jason. This will blow you away. Out of that many, hold on, I just had it right here. Here we go. We had 17 people who believed the official story that fires and jet planes brought down the buildings beforehand, 0 afterward, because we always do this show of hands. We had 29 who were unsure. Afterward, only 3. So it's pretty nice. The evidence speaks for itself. The evidence found at the crime scene in all 3 of these highly explosive controlled demolitions at the World Trade Center on 9/11.
Absolutely. And, I had just gotten an email from somebody I actually went to high school with and hadn't talked to in some years just yesterday. And she was telling me, I saw this video against you and this debunker. And one of these debunkers came up to me this year on 9/11. He was like a 19-year-old kid, couldn't look me in the eye, told me there was no molten metal at the scene, told me that there was no temperatures of over 2,000 degrees. And at that point, I said, I have this article right here. And I misdated the article, but it was from September 16, 2001, from one of the head FEMA officials. I believe it was the head of FEMA in New York, talking about 2,700 degree temperatures at the World Trade Center. So I didn't, provide the guy with a link or whatever. He said he couldn't find it, so he puts up this, YouTube video. I debunked Jason Bermas. Jason Bermas is a liar. Nowhere did anyone say this. So I finally came across this thing probably about 2 months ago, and I thought to myself, well, I do have this hard article. I got it at a Newsday. I had cut it up. I was going to use it maybe in Fabled Enemies, but I really steered clear almost of any mention of controlled demolition, maybe outside of a little bit of Building 7 in one of the final chapters of that film. But I thought to myself, well, I have it. I might as well, blog this up. So I scanned it in. I wrote a little blog, and I put it out there. And, he never retracted anything. And then I thought to myself today, how many instances we had of actual officials not only talking about the 2,000 degree temperature. We had George Pataki talking about it. We had Giuliani talking about it. We had Ken Holden of FEMA, who ran the initial investigation, talking about, molten metal dripping from Building 6, something we included in Loose Change Final Cut. And then, of course, the scene where you had the firefighters talking about how it was like a foundry, like lava pouring down the channel rails. And I specifically remember watching one of your presentation years ago when you showed the World Trade Center meteorites. Why don't you explain to people what those meteorites were comprised of?
This is pretty amazing. We have Bart Vorsanger, an architect, talking about these. He called it a meteorite. He says architects, engineers had never seen this level of destruction in their lives. He called it a fused chunk of molten metal and other substances. It is very clear in I don't remember what specific show that was, but he's very clear about it. And we have several photos of these meteors that come up, and they rust. I mean, they're not aluminum. It's obviously molten metal. There's no question about it.
Well, I want to talk about the implications of that and these debunkers in general, how they can't admit when they're wrong. I got no retraction when I presented that article as fact. We'll be back after this. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.
The New World Order beast is genetically modifying your food, mixing vegetables with animals, and now experimenting with viruses. Without a long-term food solution, you will have just 2 options: starve, or surrender. All canned food supplies will eventually run out. What then? Grow your own healthy food and feed your family forever. SurvivalistSeeds.com is now the nation's largest bulk heirloom seed company, and it's owned by a real patriot, Big John Lipscomb. You can now have an infinite amount of healthy vegetables like a watermelon, a bundle of carrots, or tomatoes for a little more than a penny each. SurvivalistSeeds.com. And now you can go into business with Big John at SurvivalistSeeds.com by becoming an affiliate. See his link at SurvivalistSeeds.com.
Just so people can be assured that I'm not making this article up, we just pulled up from the archives of the INFOWARRIOR.com the specific article. This is what I'm talking about. And I show the video where I'm supposedly debunked. Oh, I'm a big liar. I always lie about everything, and I can't back up what I'm saying. And this was actually when I posted the hard article, which I'm reading off of. Somebody, basically copied the keywords in it, and a couple other people picked up this Newsday story from 9/16. It was on a Sunday. Here it is right here, and this is out of who was it? Peter Bakersky, who is heading up all Federal Emergency Management Administration operations in New York, confirmed the lack of whole or even partial bodies in the World Trade Center debris. What they're looking at those items are being recovered now are pieces, Bakersky said. Look, this is a 110-story building. We're still at the top. We're still at the top levels. You probably are only going to find body parts or nothing because of the fire, of the blast. When you're talking about temperatures of 2,700 degrees, what do you have? You have a cremation effect. And that cremation effect is what created these quote-unquote World Trade Center meteors. And again, what did they consist of? They didn't consist of aluminum. It seems to be steel, iron, and then rubble, correct?
Yeah, all of that kind of mixed together. It's quite fascinating. Now, Jason, there are dozens of reports of molten metal at the base of all three high-rises on 9/11, and it's confirmed by Leslie Robertson, structural engineer, speaking to a group of structural engineers at a conference on October 5th. He says, as of 21 days after the attack, the fires were still burning and molten metal was still running. And his associate, Richard Garlock, says the same thing. The debris past the columns was red hot, molten, running. There's structural engineers like Abu Hassan Astani who document the melting of steel. FEMA themselves document rapid oxidation, intergranular melting, a hot sulfur corrosion attack, and even vaporization of steel. Now, this doesn't happen, and steel doesn't begin to melt until 2,700 degrees. This stuff, vaporization, happens over 4,000 degrees. So the big question is what produced this? Because we know jet fuel and office fires do not burn hotter than 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're talking 2 to 3 times the amount of temperatures required in order to produce all of this stuff. What could have done it? And the only clear answer, for which we have plenty of evidence, is thermite, an incendiary used by the military to cut through steel like a hot knife through butter.
And, that does seem to make sense. And the latest paper that you guys have out there with unexploded micro thermite and thermate particles in it is quite compelling. It's been peer-reviewed. You're now on tour talking about this. Where's the next place that you're going to be speaking at?
We're going to Seattle on June 27th at the Seattle Town Hall, Saturday night. I think it's 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell people what website you can go to find out more information, get tickets? Because it's crucial if you're listening to this program and you're in an area where the architects and engineers are going to be, where these presentations are going to happen, that you reach out to your friends and family members and take them to this, because we're not all about preaching to the choir. We need to gain more people while we still can, while there still is free speech in this country, while they have not shut down the internet with the Cybersecurity Act or the Cyberbullying Act that is just unbelievable. Oh, you can't offend somebody on the internet. And let's not forget the Simon Wiesenthal Center directly targeted architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth in their video as Al-Qaeda-like terrorists. And then with this latest shooting, in D.C. The media mantra is that this guy was some kind of a quote-unquote hero to 9/11 Truth. He had nothing to do with 9/11 Truth. 9/11 Truth has nothing to do with Nazism, and it certainly doesn't have to do with the science of these buildings collapse. So why don't you give out the website and tell people where they can go to get more information on this Seattle appearance and others?
Yeah, certainly go to our website, which is AE911truth.org. Stands, of course, for Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, which I founded about 3 years ago after showing this incredible information to the first 15 people who saw it, almost, at the firm I worked for. All 15 thought I was nuts. Afterward, all 15 agreed with me. God, you're right. These are explosive controlled demolitions. So also, and they signed our petition, by the way. Eric Lawyer of Firefighters for 9/11 Truth will be there. We'll be speaking together. And you can go to his excellent website, firefightersfor911truth.org. And he has now 50 firefighters, many of which are right from New York. So there's the evidence is just mounting and mounting. The numbers of supporters are building.